you can't improve anything that you haven't started.
Because, a lot of people are scared of that competition. And we say it all the time. When you go into a grocery store and you see all those different bread brands, they don't care.
Right.
You know what I mean? Start that clothing line. It doesn't matter. You have your own people. Yeah. It's like, we can keep the knowledge to ourselves. And I mean, I know people like that. Like, I'm just, I'm stingy when it comes to the knowledge.
Yeah, I used to be like that. I feel
exactly.
I used to be like, I don't really want to tell you what I'm doing.
But then it's like, but why though?
Yeah. I'm thinking them wealthy thoughts, baby. Everything about you. What's up? What's up? What's up? We're back again with another joint session. Excuse me. This is Stephen Mitchell. You know me on social media as Stephen Motivate. Here with my co-host, friend, homeboy, Steve James. What's up, bro?
Yo, what's up, brother? We in this thing, man. How y'all doing? How y'all feeling?
Man, I hope the folks are feeling good, man. I'm feeling good.
Sure.
We've been learning a lot this week. But the one thing that we have not really had a chance to really dive into is people are still, what I'm seeing out there is like people are still hesitating to start. And so like what we want to talk about today is just like getting started. Like you've got to get started in order to get going to wherever you're trying to go. Like, I don't get it, bro. Like, I mean, before we get into all of that though, let me go back and introduce myself again. Stephen Motivate, you know me from Turo, you know me from Diamond Shine Cleaner, go get you some on Lowe's.com. And you also know me for the Stephen Motivate brand. And one thing I'm really trying to help people do is realize there is a joy in starting. There is a true like, okay, I'm actually not procrastinating. I'm starting now. But like, I don't understand still is so many people out there that just won't start. Bro, what's your thoughts on that?
Oh, man.
Well, introduce yourself first.
Well, I mean, Steve James, man. Currently in Los Angeles. Got the tour going, Airbnb, clothing line, St. James. He's just new drip right here.
Okay, see.
Real estate, man. We're into a lot of things, man. And it's what I can say about starting is we would have never been in the situations and the position that we're in if we didn't start. So, I think, and to go off your question, I think a lot of times the starting process is fearing the unknown.
People are scared.
So it's like, how can I start on something if I don't know what the outcome is going to be? Mm. And that is something that we have to stray away from because you'll never know,
right?
If you don't start. So getting started, number one, allows you to experience the things that you need to experience in order to get to where you're going.
Facts.
So if we sit and contemplate on starting, then we get into this this space of I got to make sure these things are in place before I start. And then you look up and the whole year has went by and that thing that you wanted to start hasn't started.
Right.
And we've all been in that situation. I've been in that situation. You've been in that situation. And the only way to change that is by get going.
Yeah.
Experience.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Taking those L's, taking those things that will allow you to put yourself in a situation where you're throwing they say you throw yourself in there with the wolves, like
the
sharks. You have to, Like, because I feel like the best teacher is experience.
Definitely true. And here's the biggest, we're basically, getting into this guru space, and we want to give you the best super gems and biggest advice we can give you. And so I'm going to give it to you right now. And here's what you need to do in order to start. You need to start. And that's it. That's the gem. Mm-hmm. That's the big key. Is you just have to start. Like it sounds so simple, but it really is. And to your point, like you're not going to. Here's what I say, and I think I may have said this before. You can't improve anything that you haven't started. You cannot, and you want it to be perfect, but let's do a basketball example. I think when LeBron got in the league, his jumper was a little bit worse than it is now. I don't know. I barely got time to watch the NBA nowadays. But he had to start shooting. He had to get in the league and, okay, what does shooting feel like in the league? Mm-hmm. Right? He had to start shooting in order to improve that shot.
Yeah.
He couldn't just come out the gate like, oh, I'm going to get better at my jump shot. Well, you have to be shooting to get better.
Yeah,
you've got to put up the shots.
Yeah, you got, and it's almost, we always use the analogy of sports because we were athletes. So practice makes perfect.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So in order to, perfect your craft, you have to practice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like for me being, I was wrestler and football. So, I had to practice on my shot. My shot, I had to keep practicing. I had to keep until I got it down to the point where I felt like I perfected that particular shot.
Yeah.
And that's just like starting a business. It's like you have to continue to tweak things in order to make your business better.
You got to the point where you feel like you could slam anybody, pretty much.
I mean,
or slamming and shooting a bit different.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, I feel like I can, especially when I was in my prime. Yeah, I can slam you. I feel like I'm still there a little bit, but I don't want to resort to that. But we don't want to test. We don't want to test that out right now. But no, but it's I applied that into business because we're learning stuff all the time in business, in Turo, in Airbnb. There's things that we have to tweak. You know what I mean? Like how to get in the vehicle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that was it's like, okay, do we leave the car unlocked? Do we put the key on in the
lockbox?
In the lockbox? Do we put it in the gas tank? Yeah. I put it in the gas tank on the Mercedes and it locked.
Oh, wow.
So now I got to call, these are experiences. I would never would have known that
had I
not did it. So I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to put it in the gas tank.
Yeah.
In the gas tank, once you open it and once you lock the car, it locks the gas tank.
Yeah.
You don't know that. This is something that you wouldn't even possibly think of, but I would not have known that if I didn't get into it and experience that.
Yeah. So here's the big bar. If you are, this is my advice. I think, Steve, you probably agree with this. If you are 18 years or older, especially if you are making money of any sort, if you've got a job of some sort, making a few, whatever your paychecks, let's call it $200-$300 a week, whatever it is, $500 a week, whatever minimum wage is, you should have a business. So you might be saying, what do y'all want me to start? Start a business. Mm-hmm. Because you're going to get the benefits of a business, which can be more income potentially if you do it right. There's tax benefits associated with having a business. And there is, just the experience of being around. You're now a business owner. So the type of conversations you're going to have are going to be a little bit different because now that you've started, now you can figure out what the next thing is. And I feel like a lot of people get stuck and they don't get those experiences because they think that they need to have something perfect or, well, let me see, okay, now how do I need to do my business? And look, we're here to help you. I'm here to help you if you need help, but really it's not that simple. I mean, it's not that difficult. It's actually pretty simple if you want to start a business yourself. You basically, any state you in, go to the Secretary of State's website and look up start a new business. You figure out what name you want. That if the name is taken, then you don't want that business. You got to do something that's not taken. But you can essentially, let's say your name is John Doe. You could go on to a state Secretary of State website, look up John Doe LLC, and be like, okay, that's the business I want. If it's available, you got to pay some fees. You got to read. If you don't like reading, and then maybe have somebody else do it. You can always get a lawyer. You can always come to somebody like me. I can help you. But the fact of the matter is, if you're 18 or years or older, you're making any type of money, I would advise you, I think you would agree, you need to start you a business.
Yeah, every I think that's that's something that in our culture, we need to focus on running behind an entity. And the reason for that is, and this is something that, most of the time we're not taught this. And this is from having mentors and having people who have actually started business for us to even know this. But in order to protect your personal assets, when you have a business, let's say I start a lawn care business, but I'm running it as personal and I run over somebody and they sue me, but I don't have a business. They can take everything in your personal assets, your personal, all of that. They can tap into all of that. But if you're behind a business, if you're an entity, then they can only sue that entity. They can't go after your personal. So that alone is a reason to have some type of business entity, whether it's a LLC, a S corp. I don't know how that works. I mean, you have a nonprofit, but if you have a nonprofit, how does that work?
The nonprofit is separate from you too, just like a business.
Okay. Yeah.
So there is, nonprofits typically are incorporated. Yeah. So they are separate corporations. They're just taxed as they're not taxed. That's the whole point. They are tax exempt organizations. So they get, and there's some taxes they can't get by with, but the majority of taxes for a nonprofit organization do not apply, right? So that's how that works. But they get the basic thing. To your point, they have the nonprofit, the LLC, anything incorporated that's separate from you as a person is a whole separate entity. Right. It's like almost like a separate person, and that's how, like, to your point,
separate social.
Yeah, so it's like a business basically has its own social. They call it an EIN, but it's basically its own thing. So when it comes to any sort of dealings, that does not affect you personally. You got to have some certain things set up right and all that. And this is a little bit, we're talking a little bit advanced right now, but the reason we're talking about this is because this is one of the basic advantages of starting. If you start, you can get yourself some protection that you wouldn't otherwise have.
Right.
But as long as you procrastinate, as long as you stay waiting to do something, then you might, and you trying to do business too, that's you might get yourself in some trouble.
Yeah.
You really don't want to do that. Like,
and
there's tons of people doing that.
Right.
There's tons of people doing businesses as sole proprietors.
Yeah.
Because you can still do business. You're just not doing it in a way. And I'm actually glad if you've started and you're making money, that's a good thing.
Yeah. But
you could do a little bit better with a business.
Yeah, for sure. So I think a lot of times too, people, because we've had this conversation where, it's like, when do you know to start an LLC or to start an S corp? Let's say, I'm starting a clothing brand. Do you immediately go and start an LLC for that clothing brand, even though you have no sales?
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of time people get caught up in that, like, oh, okay, well, I haven't made any money yet, so why would I put myself? Because let's say, in California, we have an $800 annual. You know, so an annual fee.
Y'all be taxing out there. I just did a business for a buddy in Massachusetts, and their fee was $500.
Yeah.
too. So there's some states that's crazy. Indiana's only like $100.
Yeah, it's like 100. But you know, $800
Yeah.
for something and you're not making no money.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, why start if I'm not making any money?
So that's
and I think a lot of people get that like, oh, okay, well, I can't start no LLC if I ain't making no money yet.
Yeah. That's actually a great question. Before I even give my thoughts on that, the first thing I would say is still start, because while it's noble to want to do it right and want to avoid money and avoid certain expenses, that's good. But I'd rather you start and do some stuff wrong than to not start.
Yeah.
So I still want to emphasize that. But to your question, which is a fantastic question, here's how I define a business. When you have customers, you have a business. That's what I say. Mm-hmm. Meaning when you actually serving some people and they're actually exchanging money or some type of value for your services, then you have a real business. Mm-hmm. Because I think we can go all the way to the other side with this too and say people get so excited about posting they articles of incorporation and they LLC documents and they like, oh, I got my business and we about to throw a big party. Like, all right, relax. Please relax. You have not served anybody. You in exchange nothing, and just relax. You know, have a party once you're actually serving some people.
Yeah.
So that's what I say is a real business. But if you want to avoid paying any money, then okay, don't start your business yet. Continue to get it organized. However you want to organize it, right? Mm-hmm. If you just want to keep working on your logo and you want to keep working on your samples, if it's a clothing store and whatnot, okay, you can keep doing that. And you can run it as a sole proprietorship. Mm-hmm. Because technically you haven't, if you're not serving anybody yet, the probability of somebody suing you or coming after your stuff is probably pretty low.
Right.
So you actually don't have to get the formal corporation status that is going to protect you. So it could be argued both ways that I don't have to get my formal paperwork yet because in California it costs $800 and I ain't got no money coming in yet. Mm-hmm. So okay, don't start yet. But on the flip side, if you do start, that $800 you got to spend. If you have W-2 income, money coming in from somewhere else, like a normal job that most startup people probably would have, mm-hmm. then that $800 becomes an expense, lowers your gross income, and now basically, if you have enough of those with the samples you got to create, all your startup expenses are now write-offs.
Yeah.
So you get some of that money back. Now you don't necessarily need an LLC to have the write-offs. You can do that as a sole proprietor. Mm-hmm. You can just put down there, hey, I got a business. People do it all the time on their taxes. However, if you're really building this thing for the long term, I would say within a year or the first 2 years, you should probably think about getting that formal status.
And you'll know too, like when it's that
to that
point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because a lot of times, you know, we may say, oh, okay, 4 or 5 months, we ain't made no money yet. But then let's just say middle of the year on pass, it's like, oh, okay, now I'm seeing how this thing is working. Now let me go ahead and form this thing, get this thing trademarked, and you know, which is a whole other, you know, topic as far as starting a, you know, business or brand. But yeah, I mean that's good. And just a sidebar on this, it's important to know to keep things separate, because a lot of times we'll start.
That's the big bar.
Yeah,
for real.
Let's say we've started something, right? Let's say we started a clothing brand, but you had that money going to your personal. Now you're confusing your business with your personal. The biggest no-no, and this is the biggest gem probably of all of this, is keeping everything separate, because it makes everything easier at the end of the year.
And it's a best practice.
Right.
Like, so if you can start keeping it separate early, then you're setting yourself up in the future. Like, okay, I already know I got to keep stuff separate.
Yep.
So that was one of the things I hate about some of the businesses I've started is that stuff has been, this and that, commingled, so to speak. And it's actually, it's a real big issue as it relates to the taxes portion. And, not just the taxes, because the IRS frowns on that, but also the legal portion. If they call it piercing the corporate veil.
Mm-hmm.
If you're commingling and you're not keeping stuff separate, then all that protection you got, that business is separate from me. Well, you wasn't running it that way.
Yeah. And when we say separate, because someone may not even know this, when we say separate, when you get that EIN, which is once you start your business up, you take that EIN to the bank and you start a business bank account.
Mm-hmm.
That right there is going to separate your personal and your business. And that's the first thing you want to do once you get that EIN is you want to go immediately and go set up an account. So now those funds, you can start allocating those funds into that business account. So you're not commingling like we already said and confusing yourself because it is confusing. It's like, all right, I've spent, because you want to keep track of that.
Yeah.
It's like you don't want to be spending like, you're going to the movies and you taking that out of your business account.
Yeah, it's one of the best things for people who are looking to start, have started, are already, seasoned entrepreneurs. You want to keep stuff separate and you want to treat them as two separate entities. Like that's probably, like you said, it's probably one of the biggest bars as it relates to your money that you planning to bring in or that you're actually bringing in. Mm-hmm. You need to, one, know where it's at. We just talked to a millionaire not too long ago, and he was saying, look, every morning I wake up, I look at my accounts because he wants to know where his money is at,
right?
Know what's going on with those dollars. And when you're looking at it separately, you can really, like I said before, you can start to improve them separately. Like what you need to do for your personal money is probably not the same stuff you need to do for your business money.
Yeah.
So how do you do some improvements around, okay, here's the money we got coming in. All right, I've got some customers, I'm making some money, but I'm not really profiting the way I want to. Okay, what adjustments can I make? Mm-hmm. But if you can't clearly see that, one, if you're not looking at that,
right,
and then two, if you can't clearly see it, how you gonna make the improvements?
Yeah, yep.
So why people don't start to me is like, I can understand if you don't want to be like Steve and I. We got a bunch of businesses. We got sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not. But it's one of these things where it's not for everybody. So if you don't want to make the investment into starting, that's probably the only good excuse is I don't want to spend the money to actually start. But if you actually have started or you want to start or you want to make things a little bit better, then like you should do that. You should start because that investment, even though it's, it's going to cost you something, it's still going to be worth it long term.
Yeah.
So
and it takes money to make money.
Exactly.
And a lot of people they get scared of that initial investment. It's like, no, you have to invest that. Like we have to get and condition our minds to know that you have to do this.
Yeah.
Like it's not about, oh, you need to do this. It's like, no, you have to.
Mm-hmm.
Because once you do that, now you have skin in the game. Now you know that, oh, okay, I'm in this thing because I've invested whatever the amount is. And that's important for people to know, like, don't hang on to that. Invest that. Whether it's in the stocks, whether it's in the the business that you're starting, invest in yourself first, and then invest in your business, because that's important. We have to uncondition our minds into thinking that, oh, we need to hang on to this. If you got money that's in that shoebox or under that mattress and it's just sitting there, you're losing. You're losing. You got to put that money to work and allow that money to work for you.
I love what you said. I love the fact that, gosh, you have to condition yourself. Like it is so much like sports, because being a business person, being an entrepreneur, you need the conditioning that it takes to win at this. And trying to like wait till it's perfect to start, I just don't think it's the best, and you can be a little bit more organized than me. I'll start. I love starting. Yeah. I can start something so quick. Before we walk out of this room, I can start another business. Yep. That's how I'm good at starting. So if you need help starting, I'm your man. And you don't necessarily have to be like that, but you do need to get the conditioning of starting and moving money around and not holding on to stuff and being okay with, that's going to take my bank account down to below 4 figures or below 5 figures. That don't feel good, but that's what this game is.
Yeah. And on top of that, your money in the bank, what are we getting if your money's in the bank?
Less than a point.
So it doesn't make, I don't care even if someone gave you the opportunity to make 7 to 10% on your money.
Way better.
At least weigh it out. And this is just on the investment tip. If someone brought you an opportunity to say, oh yeah, you can get this back. But it's better than the money sitting in the account.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times people are like, it's safer. You know what I mean? It's safer in the account. But it's like, man, like right now is the time, to really to start investing.
To start.
To start investing and to see what that even feels like. Because once you let go of it, that's the hardest part. Because we were like coming up, we're told save, save, save. I mean, we heard what Maurice was talking about as far as keeping that, saving that. We get so caught up in this when it's just like, nah, we need to let that thing go and watch it grow. Yeah,
your hands got to be open to let that money flow in and flow out. Yep. Like that's why I heard, I don't forget who I heard say this. I think it may have been Bishop T.D. Jakes say currency, like current, like the same type of word we use with water, flowing like the water. You got to let that current flow. Currency, you got to let that money flow. Mm-hmm. That's how it's going to grow when you let it flow. Mm-hmm. That rhymed. But like it's that you need to condition yourself. And just like you have to start the business, you got to start investing. And I love what one of my coaches, Darius Daniels, says. The biggest investment you can make is the investment you make in yourself. And when you stop procrastinating and really start, you are now putting yourself on a path to, okay, I started this. What else can I start? Mm-hmm. Now I can start to improve. Now I can start to get better. Now I can start to invest, start to make more, you're conditioning yourself to get out of that safety zone, like you said. Mm-hmm. Stop playing everything so super safe. Stop trying to wait for everything to be perfect.
Because it's not.
Ain't no perfect.
You can't. If it was perfect, then everyone would be doing it.
Exactly.
And that's what separates, the entrepreneur from the one who started to someone who just has the ideal in their brain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's the difference. And I think it's so important that, we surround ourselves with like-minded people. Boom. And we talk about this a lot. Like, you're not going to start no business if you hanging around people who don't have no business. You know what I mean?
Big
like
bar.
It's that simple.
It's that simple.
You know what I mean? Like it's contagious. Like when I'm around people who got money, it's like, I'm talking about big money.
Yeah.
It's like, I got now it's different when you surround yourself around that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's
a different energy.
It's a different energy.
It ain't that safe energy. It's look, I'm if I gotta risk it, I'm with it.
Yeah.
Because that's the energy we're around. And then you start winning. And like we heard before, if you win enough, now you start to evolve. Like your businesses are going to evolve.
Right.
Just like technology evolves. You don't see Facebook staying the same.
Yeah. They're constantly doing other stuff or buying up like, oh yeah, you coming out with this? No, I need this to better my company.
Yes. And so what is that? That is improving what's already been started.
Yep.
You start and then you improve. So you're always going to have to start and, I think this is start and restart. You got to start, restart. So you might as well start because you're going to have to start again.
Yeah.
So you might as well get used to getting out there, getting around the right people, getting around the right energy. And look, hopefully, we got to wrap it up. We're running out of time, but hopefully you learn from this. And when you look at us, you say, man, this is the type of energy I need to be around.
Yeah.
And when you get around this energy, when you hear these talks, when you listen to the Wealthy Thoughts podcast, that you are saying, wow, okay, this could be me, because it can be you. You just got to hear it enough to where you start to believe in yourself and you start to say, man, I can start too.
And I can do this. You gotta, we talk about it. You gotta have them self-talks, like, cause it gets tough. We see how tough it is to survive, especially just off of one source of income. That alone should be the thing. Like, oh, I don't want to go through this. I don't want to struggle in the manner of only relying on one source. Because in a blink of an eye, that one source could be gone.
Right.
They can tell that job that you have, they can tell you, are we moving this company to so-and-so and we got to lay off.
Look how many
your
layoffs
department.
it's been
It's
in the
crazy.
news. Layoff, all them Twitter people.
It's crazy,
Gone.
bro. And there's so many different things that you can get into, to start. Whether it's that idea that you have, finding that niche of whatever that business is, tweaking it and putting it out. Because, a lot of people are scared of that competition. And we say it all the time. When you go into a grocery store and you see all those different bread brands, they don't care.
Right.
You know what I mean? Start that clothing line. It doesn't matter. You have your own people.
Yes.
You have your community of people. And that is another thing, is getting those emails, getting that community already conditioned for what you're about to drop.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Letting people know, sprinkling it out there. Oh yeah, I'm about to start this. I'm about to start gathering that like, you get your phone. Like, this is a $1 billion situation in your hand.
Yep.
And all you have to do is look and utilize the resources and start putting the resources to action.
You got the resource. What you gonna do with it? Start. I'm Stephen Motivate. We out of time. Steve, any final comments?
Man, this was good. It was self-talk.
That's what
self-talk.
That's what it gotta be. No limiting beliefs.
For sure, man. Steve James. I am Steve James. Dream Big University, man. We are we're just trying to lead by example. And it's really that simple. We have we have experience in the things that we're doing, and we're constantly learning. You know what I mean? With ourselves, we're learning every day in something that we've been a part of for, a year now. How long you been in Toro?
I'm going on. I'll be 2 years in May that I've been actively doing it.
Yeah.
So a year and a half.
Yeah. So it's, and we're constantly learning different things, man. And that's part of growing is learning and adapting to change.
So get started.
We out of here.
Peace. I'm thinking them wealthy thoughts, baby.